All right, and welcome to my Josh Thundershaver's review of Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. Mania. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of good energy off of this movie, and I know that people online are super divisive about it. Is a very under we're kind of undercutting it, saying that people are divided online. I'll be frank. Um, you got the critics on one hand saying, giving it thumbs down across the board. They're saying it's a bad movie. And then you've got the actual patrons seeing the movie, going on Rotten Tomatoes and being like, no, that was great. That was a fun time at the cinema. So the question is, what is going on with this movie? Um, I honestly liked it. Not to be, short and sweet about, how I feel about the movie, but I honestly liked it. I had a good time. Rachel had a good time. Because of current job schedules, we couldn't actually go see it until the Tuesday after it had already been out. So we just recently saw it as opposed to on opening night. And I'm really glad that nobody spoiled anything, as we're about to talk about now openly. So that being said, if you have not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania, I'm actually going to tell you to not watch this video. If you have seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, hey, let's do some bullshit and let's talk. So I want to say though that usually, the Marvel movies, or at least in my town, because we have an IMAX theater, get released in IMAX, and that's the way to go see it. Everybody's like, "Oh, you got to go see the Marvel movie in IMAX." And when I was going to buy my ticket, I realized that I can actually watch Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp. My apologies, at home, comfort of my own home, in my underwear, on my 4K TV in the IMAX format. That's something they do. That's something that they brought to Disney Plus. So I decided that instead of paying the extra money to see IMAX, I was actually going to take the Tuesday matinee and get a lot cheaper and see it in 3D. Um, I know a lot of people don't like watching movies in 3D, especially nowadays, but this is one to watch in 3D. This is a great one to watch in 3D. Takes place in the quantum realm, as you know. So there's a lot of like little floaty things. A lot of the way that things move, that's just a lot cooler to check in the 3D. Yeah, Bill Murray in 3D was neat. But I really like seeing a lot of the digital effects, which got a lot of shit. Was I happy with the way MODOK looked? No. Was I happy with the way a lot of the rest of the movie looked? Hell yeah. I actually, Kotaku actually, like, I think there's a conspiracy. Them as a journalism source, Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania did something. They hurt their family or something, because they've put out so many negative articles about it. And I commented on one of them. I was like, "Well, what movie were you watching? I really enjoyed it." And somebody pops up and he goes, is a friend of mine going all the way back to college, and he's like, "Hey man, it's because people are tired of the Marvel movies and it's regurgitation." I'm like, "No, it's not." Like, normal people that watch boring, basic, regular movies and are okay with it, like, they're getting tired of the Marvel movies because it's the same thing again. However, people like me that love this shit, I'm waiting for Phase 6. I want Fantastic Four now. I'm literally living through Phase 5 so I can get Fantastic Four at the beginning of Phase 6, and that's my life, dog. That's my love blood right there. And you're talking about people are just tired with these movies and stop seeing them. You know, I get the fact that Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame, the super multi-billion budget adventures that they were, happened because all the movie that went, all the money that came from everybody going and seeing the previous movies. And I'm okay with like them cranking it down a little bit in order to facilitate, but like, I don't want movies anymore made for the general audience. I want my comic book movies made for the comic book audience. And I guess that's the best way to say it. It's kind of like they did with the most recent Dune reboot, is they didn't make it for the normal, Joe on the street to come in and be like, this is a movie about a sand planet. I think I'll check it out. Then there's the people that went to go see it because of Zendaya and Jason Momoa. They don't give a shit about Duncan Idaho. They went to go see Jason Momoa, and they didn't like that movie. However, me, my best friend, his mom, we loved it. Love that new Dune. And I kind of feel like that's the dichotomy that's going on with Marvel movies, because like you've got people that will pay hand over fist every time to go see Vin Diesel drive a car. I was lost with the first one, to be honest with you. So like I don't understand it yet. Here we are. They're making billions of dollars off of all sorts of people going and seeing it. That just happens to exclude my numbers, and I'm okay with it. So I don't see why Marvel movies can't be that way. But to get back into Ant-Man specifically, about some of the things that I had to critique on, I did not like the fact that they changed the actress for Cassie Lang. The young lady that played her in Endgame was more than fine. I get that they wanted someone with more action under the belt to do the action scenes, but you can train anybody to do anything. I mean, I'm not in the casting office, I'm not on the backside, but it was just kind of one of those things that it's like, not only did they pick an actress that was much more recognizable, but it was a very noticeable change. Like, these two young women do not look like each other at all. I'm kind of biased because I watched all of Supernatural, and I just didn't like her character on that show. So it took a little bit for me to not hate Cassie Lang. And also specifically about Cassie, the fact that like they get to the quantum realm and she waits until like shit gets heavy to actually deploy her suit. She needed to do that from the beginning. Like, I get that most people weren't expecting Cassie Lang to turn into Stature like I did. As soon as she popped up in Ant-Man 1, I was like, yo, that's gonna be Stature one day. They're doing the Young Avengers, dog. My friends are like, what are the Young Avengers? So yeah, as soon as Cassie Lang popped up as a little girl, I was like, Young Avengers confirmed. And now they've officially given her grow powers. So that's another step in that. Kang was one of the Young Avengers. He was Iron Lad. So if a character pops up and he's Iron Lad, it's Kang. I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil some plot point for probably like the Kang Dynasty or whatever the other Avengers movie I can't think of, but that's probably gonna happen, and you're probably gonna either be pissed off or think back to me and remember that I said that. Another thing that I didn't like that I have marked down, because my notes are kind of all over the place that I took, but they did way too much cross promotion and acknowledging Baskin Robbins. Like at the beginning, when Scott Lang's on his like book tour and everybody loves me and stuff, and he does the thing for Baskin Robbins, yeah, sure, that's fine. But like they keep literally throwing back to a joke from the first movie, and it's probably the most annoying thing about the entire film. Like, I get it, it's supposed to be for laughs, but when they do the whole, multiple timelines of Ant-Man and he's in the quantum realm and his Baskin Robbins stuff, it's just like, yeah, it was funny, but you could have done funny somewhere else, or even not at all. I feel like it was just kind of forced on us, the Baskin Robbins thing. And it's just kind of like that scene from Wayne's World when he's talking about not selling out, and he's eating the Pizza Hut and showing the logo, and eating the Doritos and showing the logo, and then Darth's got a headache, and Garth, not Darth, but you know what I'm talking about, except, it was really happening and not as a joke. However, going back to that scene with the multiple Ant-Mans, I thought that was awesome. Especially, when the Scott Langs used each other like ants and worked like actual ants would. It was pretty neat. I don't know, but I feel like it was a bland movie where neat things happened. When I went in, a buddy of mine was like, you're gonna like it, which I did. Overall, I did. He goes, it's kind of like Ant-Man got stuck in a Star Wars movie. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? And the more I watched it, I was like, yo, Ant-Man got stuck in a Star Wars movie. Like, they're hiding, you've got the big evil threat, and he's Darth Vader, and I don't know, it's pretty cool. I did like it. So I don't know. Maybe that will, or that may or may not change your opinion of Quantumania after you've seen it, if you think of it as a Star Wars movie starring the Ant-Man team. the ants doing ant stuff. I felt like they couldn't have foreshadowed that more, talking about how the ants were smart at the beginning of the movie, and then specifically showing them getting sucked into the portal with them. Like, you had to know the ants were going to be there, and they were going to be a big part later down the road. Especially when Bill Murray was like, "Do we have ants here in the quantum realm?" The answer was yes. They've apparently not only been there, but they've been there for thousands of years because of quantum realm timer, however that works. But talking too much makes me thirsty. The one last thing that I will say, I'm looking through my notes that I think I have something later on that was negative, but the last negative thing I have to say was that I did not like MODOK. I love MODOK. MODOK is a fun, silly character for me that really shouldn't be taken fun and silly. I don't know. It's a thing me and my buddies in high school just. I'll skip you the inside joke stories and just know that I love MODOK. And when in Ant-Man 1, when his arms and legs got pulled up pretty much to look like his torso connecting to his head, I made a MODOK joke to my funny. Sure enough, coming into Quantumania, that's what they had planned the whole time, is that, evil Yellow Jacket is now MODOK. As an adult, nerd, I've had to make myself become more understanding and think of the MCU as a definite alternate universe. And it's something I hated when they pulled shit like this in the Ultimate Universe as well. I don't like it when they combine villains to make one villain. Um, so the fact that MODOK is furthering the timeline of Yellow Jacket from the first movie is neat from a perspective that they're really paying attention to their own continuity and trying to build it. It's also frustrating from someone that knows that MODOK is an AIM creation. And he's got a chili bowl haircut, dog. When it comes down to it, he's got that stupid, silly chili bowl haircut. I did like the fact, and that's another thing, MODOK would not ever want to redeem himself. However, this Yellow Jacket MODOK, I like the fact that they did let him redeem himself, because he really wasn't that much of a bad guy in the first movie. Like they said, like Cassie says, he's kind of a dick. I am not a dick. It definitely got some laughs out of me when I needed, the re-up on the laughs. I like the fact that they gave him the redemption. I'm an Avenger. I avenged. Sure, dude, I avenged. That was all good. It's just that wasn't MODOK. Just want to throw that out there. I liked it, but it wasn't MODOK. Moving forward to things that I did like. Bill Murray was a nice surprise. Bill Murray was a great surprise. That was fun. I'm not saying like I like his character or what they did with it, but it was just like, oh, hey, Bill fucking Murray, neat. And I literally have that in my notes. The holes, no holes guy is how I wrote it. Adult group that was going in there, because like kids are thinking like 7 holes and counting their face. Nah, man, they're talking about your urethra. But no, I feel like there was a lot more to the plasma guy, because they drink the juice and they could understand like what was in that. They were serving that at a bar somewhere else. So, like, did they go milk that guy? Like, did they pay him, or is he part of a subspecies race where like they're keeping him back in the back so they can milk their juice? I don't know, dude. It's weird. There's way too much that got put on my mind over one like thing that they probably meant to be a throwaway aspect of the universe, but my brain resonated on that shit. And it's been an entire day and a half since I've seen that movie. And as soon as I saw that in my notes, I was like, yeah, that's weird. First of all, if he's got no holes, how do they get the juice out? That's the question. It's things that make you go, ugh. Hank Pym is so much of a better person in the MCU. Like, they kind of show that he's not really that terrible of a guy in the first 2 movies. Like, Like in the second one, he kind of comes off as like cranky and selfish, and the first one, he definitely comes off as like an asshole. But in this one, like Cassie's like Grandpa, and it just immediately turns him into a softie. Um, in the 616 Marvel Comics universe, I mean, he created Ultron. It was kind of like, so what? And he did some other real fucked up things, but I guess it was revealed that he was a Skrull later on, and I don't know. See, you got me coughing again. Marvel really messed up their own continuity several times, and unlike DC, they never did a reset. But I'm pretty sure how they ended up like taking care of Hank Pym in the regular Marvel universe is Wolverine traveled back in time and murdered him so he could never make Ultron, and everything about that just says it all. And then you got the Ultimate Universe Hank Pym, and he was a jerk. He actually sprayed the Wasp during like a domestic fight, spray her with bug killer. Dude, that's poison. So when she was super tiny, it fucked her up. Like Cat beat him up, but so basically what I'm saying is the comic books don't always show Hank Pym in a good light, but in these movies, he's just like a real sweet guy, and I like that. Um, in fact, he made me two things I noticed. Number one, Hank Pym was the only one that cussed in this movie, and it was like he said shit a lot. Number two, every time he opened his mouth was goddamn hilarious. I really wrote down in my notes, oh shit, that guy looks like broccoli, because I meant it. First of all, that guy looked like broccoli. Second of all, that was such a great thing to have him call out. The only other thing before I get into the end notes of what I wanted to say is that I don't understand why all of the Quantum Realm people immediately loved Cassie. I get that she was like looking on them and they saw her signal, but I don't know. It must be a time disillusion thing. But yeah, I felt like the Quantum people liked Cassie way too much. And that was just kind of awkward. It's because they really want us as fans to accept her as the new breed of superhero, is what I'm guessing. Another thing I want to say about this movie that a lot of people are giving it a bad rap. They're not really thinking about it, but this whole movie is literally 3 previous movies worth of follow-up, because he accidentally shrinks too far in the first Ant-Man and he gets stuck in the quantum realm but is able to bring himself back. Ant-Man 2 end credit scene, he gets stuck in the quantum realm when everybody else blips out while he's stuck in there. But they still didn't really extensively talk about it. When he comes out in Endgame, he's just like, oh, hey, I've got this idea. But they don't really extensively talk about what happened to Scott Lang the 2 times he got stuck in the quantum realm. Just saying. So this movie is really 3 previous movies worth of payoff of actually being in the quantum realm, and I really liked it. And like I said earlier, we did see it in 3D, so maybe check that out if you want a fun visual experience. However, I will note that Rachel said that it was almost distracting how cool everything looked in 3D. So take that with the grain of salt that you will. And the last thing I want to talk about before we leave is motherfucking Kang. If you didn't see Loki, you probably didn't already understand that Homeboy was Kang the Conqueror when he first showed up. But as soon as like Michelle Pfeiffer was like, there's another person here, way at the beginning of the movie, I was like, yo, that's Kang the Conqueror. And it was in fact the actual like Conqueror persona of Kang that they went with that I thought was cool. At the end, there's some end credit scenes that really expand more, and I really hate the fact that what Marvel's been doing is putting the most important scenes in the movie as end credit scenes, and then the whole rest of the movie just kind of feels like something that happened. And I don't know if it's because Spider-Man No Way Home was that fucking good that it just kind of makes everything else feel like the Kmart version of a superhero movie, but I do really feel like for the most part, this was a generic like superhero journey, and all of the really important lasting elements happened in the 2 end credit scenes. And one of them actually had nothing to do with Ant-Man. It was a not a preview. It wasn't a trailer like they did with Spider-Man. That was irritating. But like the other trailer is literally like Loki and Mobius, and they've got Victor McTimey or whatever that version of Kang is called, and that's setting up for Loki season 2 because they're gonna have to hunt that version of Kang down. And then in the other end credit scene, you had a Morbius, you had Among Ramatut, that third guy. I don't feel comfortable enough with labeling who he is just because there's so many different variants of Loki, and that dude didn't look like anyone that I thought he would look like. So that's just another big version of Loki, and they called together everyone else. So shit's about to get real. Shit's about to get raw. Um, I'm ready for it, and that's the thing is that they're not making these movies for the layman people anymore, and they're really going with crazy concepts. So I like the fact that they're doing it, and I know a lot of people didn't, but I feel like that's definitely a casual fan versus diehard fan experience. Um, and it's definitely something that goes up for a lot of debate because I have had a lot of people tell me like they think that the MCU has gone too far. Honestly, I think it's the only thing that I'm really excited about. Um, you know, the next thing that's coming up, we've got a couple of TV projects that don't really have a date. They're just saying like early spring 2023. But then the next movie really coming out is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and that's pretty much going to end them as a franchise. So what are they going to do there? I don't know. I don't know how this all breaks off. All I know is that shit's about to get heavy with Kang. And by the time it's all said and done, he might not even be defeated. Like this might be because they said he's going to be bigger than Galactus, but like Kang might not even be defeated because there's so much Kang to go around. And that's kind of why I've always thought he was crazy as a character. Going back to the Marvel Versus system card game, Kang was the only character that you could use multiple versions because it didn't matter if you had two different Spider-Man. There's only one Spider-Man, So well, I guess Peter Parker's. I don't know if they had any, other, Ben Riley or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like there can't be two Wolverines. Kang, you could play as many Kangs as you could get, which I thought was neat. I think HeroClix did the same thing. There weren't any unique Kangs. So that being said, that's been my review of Ant-Man. Just kind of a couple little talking points that I had. Main thing I wanted to pull away from it, it's visually amazing. It might almost be a little too long for its britches, but it keeps giving you something to go with. I loved Hank Pym as a cuddly bear grandpa, and Kang is definitely going to make you redefine what you think a bad guy is. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with him, but I know what they should, and I'm right a lot of the time in my predictions. I know that I've only been with the domain for a couple years, but anyone that's seen any of my previous stuff on my own personal channel, I like to call them as I see them, and I, for some reason, have crystal clarity looking into the future. So that being said, this is my interview. I will see you again in a couple months when we talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Possibly might pop up for a couple of the shows in between. I don't know. If you want to hear my thoughts or comments on any new movie coming up, I will be seeing Scream 6. Let us know if you want me to do a review. I might do one even if you don't want me to. Either way, love, peace, chicken grease. I'll catch you next time. My name is Josh Shaver, and I'm with the domain GPCE, and this episode of my reviews is done. Peace.